Greetings everyone, Oscar here, and welcome to my review of episode 16. Yes, I have double checked that it is episode 16, so I won't say the wrong number like I did last episode. So there's no need to worry, this is in fact episode 16. This episode is called Rogue Time, and it mainly focuses on Barry dealing with the repercussions of traveling through time. But that's not the only thing that Barry has to deal with. So this episode began where the last one ended, and that was with Barry going back in time. He arrives just at the moment before he goes to the morgue. And by the way, this is kind of a fun thought. Since time travel is involved in this week's episode and last week's episode, technically, this week's episode is last week's episode. There, I just blew your mind. Anyhow, since Barry has been through all of this already, he knows exactly what to do. He fights the Weather Wizard very quickly, I mean, even for him, and puts him in the Special Star Labs prison. And that's the end of that supervillain. But everyone notices that Barry is acting kind of weird, especially Professor Harrison Wells, or screw it. He has revealed himself as Eobard Thawne, so I'm gonna refer to him as Eobard Thawne from now on. And yes, Barry then tells Thawne that he has been traveling through time, and this makes Thawne a little bit uneasy, and he tells Barry, like, you have to be very careful when you travel through time, because one little misstep and you can fuck up everything, literally everything. Like, you may have taken out Mark Martin, but there might come an even bigger threat than him. And what do you know, Harrison is right, because this episode also marks the return of Captain Cold and Heatwave. Yes, they are back in Central City, and my god, do they kick ass. Also in this episode, we get to meet Captain Cold's sister, Lisa Snart, aka Golden Glider, played by Peyton List. And let me tell you folks, this chick is trouble with a capital T. Going into this episode, I wasn't really sure what to expect from Peyton List. I mean, I haven't seen her in much else of what she has done, so I was a little bit worried that she might not actually hold up to Dominic Purcell and Wentworth Miller, but when I saw her up there with those two guys, I was like, damn, she's a really good actress. I literally believed that Wentworth Miller and Peyton were actually siblings. They had such a great dynamic with one another. I really enjoy that. So yeah, kudos to Peyton List. Yeah, you have definitely made an impression on me, so there, you probably have a new fan. And like last episode, this episode also focuses a little bit more on Cisco. In this episode, we actually get to meet his family. And in last week's episode, it was kind of revealed that Cisco doesn't have much, contact with his family. And in this episode, we get to see why. Because they kind of treat him like a red-haired stepchild, almost. They're always, like, glorifying his older brother and always putting him in second place, reminding him that he's a failure. But come on, like, his older brother is his concert pianist, and Cisco works at Star Labs developing new technology that can benefit mankind in the future. Screw being a pianist, I'd rather want to work at Star Labs. But by the end of the episode, Cisco and his brother reconcile and, become bros again, essentially. And that was really a heartfelt moment. I liked it a lot. But my favorite moment comes at the very end, when Captain Cold and the Flash comes face to face, literally face to face. And essentially they start talking, like they're not fighting or anything, they're basically just standing there and talking to each other. Like, the Flash is like, I don't want you in my city, like, you have to go someplace else and do whatever it is that you're doing. And Captain Cold's like, Central City is my home. I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to continue with what I'm doing. But then the Flash say, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to still be in the city, like, fighting with me? Why do you want to do it? And then Captain Cold says that because I am good at it. I am very good at this game that we have started to play. And the Flash says, well, if you're so good, then there's literally no need for you to be going around killing people. Like, I will allow you to be in the city and, like, do your shtick, but I'm still gonna try to stop you, just so you know. And I just loved that moment, because it is basically the start of the sort of like silent agreement between Captain Cold and the Flash, and that the rest of the rogues will have. Because one major element that I was worried about them not getting in this series as a whole was the unique relationship that the Flash and his rogues have with one another. And when I saw this, I was just like, greatest moment in this entire episode, in this entire series probably. But hey, the first season hasn't ended, so you know there could be greater things to come. But thus far, greatest moment ever. The only thing that I didn't really like about this episode is how they resolved that entire Eddie Thawne subplot from last week's episode. Like, last week's episode, we got to see Eddie starting to having a grudge developing towards Barry. And in this episode, Eddie actually straight out hits Barry in the face. But by the end of the episode, they're like, oh, you know, I'm sorry that I hit you in the face and whatnot. You know, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you had post-traumatic stress or whatnot. And I was kind of disappointed at that. I wished that they would have developed that further. I wished that they would have, like, developed that in a much better way, so that eventually we'll see, like, oh, this leads to this and this leads to that, and eventually Eddie is going to become, like, the Hunter Zolomon version of Zoom. But still, nonetheless, this was a great episode, and I highly recommend that you guys go out and see it. And please, leave a comment in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about this episode. Was it good? Was it bad? Well, leave a comment below and let me know. But that is my time, and signing off, this is Oscar, and I will see you next week with another exciting episode of The Flash. And in next week's episode, people, things are gonna get a little bit tricky.
Oh, hey. I hope you guys enjoyed what you just saw. I don't know what exactly you just saw, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you really did like it, go check out our other stuff. You know, we have social media, Facebook, Twitter. The link should be somewhere here. Also, we have other channels too. We have our movie video game channel. We have our music channel. Obviously, our comic book channel too, because we know we do all that entertainment awesomeness. We also have a website. Go to our website, hybridnetworkyt.com. And check out our other videos. That's all I really have to say. It's Josh, and I hope you guys enjoyed what you watched.